So welcome everybody. We're really happy to be here in this celebratory day for new partnerships and commitments towards human rights. My name is Marita Canedo. I'm the Milk with Dignity Program Coordinator and part of the Migrant Justice team. I'll be your MC today. And we have a great day because today Vermont Construction Company is committing to partner with Building Dignity and Respect Standards Council and Migrant Justice towards developing a program that is workers-led to bring human rights for construction workers. We know that construction is a fast-growing industry that has right regulations, and it's taking places where there is abuses in the workplace. So these are the steps that are needed to fix this and bring solutions, bringing everybody into place to talk about these things and put concrete steps towards dignity and respect. It was a surprise and very happy for Migrant Justice to receive the visit of Vermont Construction Company in December. They came to our office to understand and learn about Milk with Dignity and to see a way to bring this model to construction. So with that, we were really happy to connect them with our friends in Minnesota and the Building Dignity and Respect program that are doing this in the Twin Cities. So today, we're gonna hear from Doug Mork, who's gonna describe the BDR program. We're gonna hear from a construction worker, Jose Ignacio, who's gonna tell us the reality of construction workers here in Vermont and his connection to the other worker organizations dreaming about this change. Also, we're gonna hear from David Richards, BCC, co-director, and we're gonna sign the agreement of cooperation. So with no more further ado, I wanna introduce Doug Mork from DDC. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here. Again, my name is Doug Mork. I'm director at the Building Dignity and Respect Standards Council based in Minneapolis. We are the kind of monitoring and code holding side of this work of the Building Dignity and Respect program. Our program is based on the principles of worker-driven social responsibility. It's a social change model where conditions at the top of supply chains or labor contracting chains adopt legally binding standard-setting agreements with a human rights organization. Agreements require these corporations to impose market consequences, right, on suppliers and contractors who violate workers' rights, really establishing a floor, a baseline of dignity and respect. Migrant Justice has adapted these same principles to the dairy industry. You may be familiar with the Milk with Dignity program. Our program is really based on that same model. In the Minneapolis context, after years of responding to problems in a rapidly expanding industry, probably not too unlike this one, and responding sort of on a case-by-case basis, construction workers at Setool, which is a worker center, again, not unlike Migrant Justice in Minneapolis, looked for a way to bring more health and big change to that whole industry. Our program is the product of that. The BDR program is based on a code of conduct developed with these construction workers. It's built to protect against wage theft, physical and sexual abuse, labor trafficking, and provide safe and dignified working conditions all across the industry. Workers in the industry came to believe that key to success was the involvement of the top of that chain, right, of the builders at the top of the chain, whether developers or general contractors. Builders enter legally binding program participation agreements with the Building Dignity and Respect Standards Council that require all their contractors to abide by the program's code of conduct. In addition to independent monitoring, workers are empowered through education and support as frontline monitors and defenders of their own rights, with strict protections against retaliation. Complaints are swiftly investigated, resulting in meaningful remedies for workers. BDC works directly with contractors to achieve and maintain compliance with the code. In conclusion, we are eager and excited to partner with Vermont Construction Company and bring Building Dignity and Respect program to Vermont. We applaud VCC for taking this step and look forward to working together with the company and with construction workers in Vermont to adapt the program to this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. So now we're going to hear from Jose Ignacio, a construction worker, leader with Migrant Justice, who's going to tell us about the stories of workers in construction here, but also the solutions that they create.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es José Ignacio y soy parte de la comunidad migrante y soy trabajador en una construcción.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Ignacio. I'm part of the immigrant community, and I'm a construction worker.
Sí, pues antes de empezar quisiera igual agradecer y darle un fuerte aplauso también para la compañía y todos los líderes y todos los trabajadores de Vermont Construction que se unen a este gran paso que se están dando.
And before I begin, I want to give my hearty congratulations and a round of applause to Vermont Construction Company and to all of its subcontractors and to all of the workers who will be part of building this solution.
Pues como sabemos la mayoría que estamos trabajando en construcción, que para nosotros hay muchos retos y el primer reto que tenemos es la vivienda. Sabemos que la vivienda es un problema prácticamente en todo el estado, que los precios de las viviendas es muy caro y muchas personas pues no tienen suficiente sustento para pagar una renta.
And so as construction workers, we face many problems. And one of the principal problems that we face is the issue of housing. As everybody here knows, the price of housing, the cost of housing is very high in this state, and there's a lack of supply.
Sabemos que pues aquí el estado de Vermont está creciendo y también está creciendo la comunidad migrante. Entonces la comunidad está saliendo también de los ranchos y está empezando a trabajar en las construcciones.
The immigrant community in Vermont is growing, just as the need for workforce in Vermont is growing. So many of us have been working on farms for years and are leaving the farm to find work in other sectors.
Las personas que dan ese paso a salir de las lecherías a trabajar en construcción tienen que unirse para poder rentar una casa y poder pagar todos los gastos que implica luz, agua, internet y la renta.
And so for those of us who are trying to find housing for the first time in the state, we have to work together and get creative to find suitable housing and be able to cover the cost of rent and utilities and internet and all the associated costs.
Sí, y pues eso es algo que ellos y nosotros lo estamos viviendo porque pues tenemos que estar compartiendo cuarto con 2 o 3 personas para poder pagar un poco porque hay compañías que no están pagando lo suficiente.
And when our salaries that we're getting don't cover the cost of rent, we have to double or triple up in a room in order to lower the cost enough to rent.
Sí, en construcciones también pues hay contratistas que le roban el salario a los trabajadores, que al final de la semana pues no se los pagan.
And in the construction sector, we've seen cases of wage theft where workers aren't paid their due at the end of the week and their bosses keep their wages.
Pero como sabemos que hay retos para la comunidad, también sabemos que también hay soluciones.
But just like we know that the community is facing challenges, we know that the community is capable of creating solutions.
Y una de estas soluciones pues es liderada por los trabajadores también de los ranchos lecheros que se ha implementado un programa similar a este.
And one of these worker-driven solutions that we've seen in the dairy industry is very similar to the one that we're talking about today.
Sí, entonces este nuevo paso que se está dando a este acuerdo, pues es algo para nosotros muy emocionante y sabemos que el día de mañana vamos a tener un nuevo día.
And so this commitment that we're seeing today from Vermont Construction is very exciting, and we know that someday soon we will see a new day in the construction industry.
Buscaremos estas soluciones como trabajadores y como compañías y vamos a estar siempre unidos.
As workers and as the company, we'll be working together to implement this solution, and that we know that united we'll be able to achieve it.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
So thank you, Jose Ignacio. Now we're going to hear from the VCC co-founder, David Richards, and the importance of a company taking the right steps for success on their supply chain of workers. Thank you, David.
Thank you guys for coming today. This is a very exciting day. Thanks for being here. We appreciate that. When Dana and I started Vermont Construction, we were young and struggling, but we're very passionate about the state we grew up in. We're very committed to Vermont. We wanted to build a company that would create great jobs for Vermonters, and importantly, so that Vermonters could afford to live well in Vermont. That's always been important to us since the very beginning. In a few short years, our business really took off. It's more than we could have ever expected. And we've really rolled that success back into our community. We do as much as we can. That's really what drives us. Just a few examples. We work closely with Make-A-Wish, granting wishes to children with critical illnesses. We provide free roofs to all of the local Habitat for Humanity builds in our area. We contribute media and financial support to the One Family Center. That's just a little bit of what we do. And then hearing from Marita, Doug, and Jose, their program, Building Dignity, they deliver to their community as well, and it makes it a very good fit for us. That's why we're excited to kickstart this. We're a successful construction company in Vermont. We're large. We're perfectly poised to initiate this program, and it's going to be very good for our workers. Right now is the height of the housing crisis in Vermont. We do not have enough houses. We do not have enough workers. And every day it's getting worse and it's not getting better. This partnership with Building Dignity, it's going to attract the people to the state that are going to build these houses for us. And it's very important. The truth is, Vermont will not solve its housing crisis without migrant workers. It's not going to happen. These guys work their asses off and they deserve to live well in Vermont. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So just to address this is a program that it's created and dreamed by migrant workers, but really benefits all the workers in construction. And it's something that is really important when we have the Vermont name in our names. It's really important that we represent this. And so we thank you for this collaboration, for this commitment. And now we are going to come and sign this, the agreement. I just want to invite you, David, and Doug, and then we're going to invite the workers also as witnesses of this amazing time. Doug.
Y ahora todos los compas que quieren pueden firmar como testigos al acuerdo para poner su sello.
¿En dónde?
Anímense a pasar adelante.
He was not working.
So before we open for questions and answers for the press, we're just gonna ask for a round of applause because this is the power of the people, all the workers united. So now we open the floor to the press if you have questions for anybody.
I have a question. So how are we going for what difference are we going to see for how is this going to be now?
Can you speak up, sir?
What are we going to see that is different? Like what can the public see that is going to change?
You mean to start that? Or? Sure. This is the beginning, right, of the process, and so now with the signing of this agreement, we will begin the sort of hard work of adapting the code of conduct and signing a builder's agreement. That'll establish the kind of basic code for Vermont construction, and we'll begin to really the process of running the program, which is really worker education, auditing the contractors for compliance with the code of conduct, running a complaint line or a worker support line. So again, where there are questions or concerns about how things work, there's an opportunity for folks to do that. Our auditors will also have site access. But again, not certainly to get in the way of construction in the sense that phone line proves very important as well. So the process of monitoring, of auditing, of investigating, of making sure that the standards of the code are maintained. But in order to get there, we've got a couple of months of work really to finalize the code and sign an actual formal agreement that launches the operations of the program.
And are you going to sign up other construction companies?
We would love to. We would love to sign up other construction companies. We'll certainly be hoping to expand. We'd love to see these solutions are most powerful when they're industry-wide.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So what prompted this?
What prompted this? I mean, we're a really fast-growing company, and we're quickly becoming one of the biggest ones. And we rely heavily on immigrant labor, so it's a really good fit for us. I think because we're young and successful, we have a lot of advantages in taking on a program like this and proving to our partners in the industry that it is feasible.
So was nothing in particular?
I mean, it's all those things coming together.
Any other question?
Yeah.
I have a question with BT Digger. Can you talk about the what happens to the people who are living in the two Colchester properties that the town issued violations against? What happened to those people? Where did they move to?
So, I mean, they got rehoused.
Can you tell me where? What versions?
I mean, I can't speak to the specifics, you know, it's it's a landlord-tenant relationship, just like your previous landlord doesn't know where you live now.
Sure, okay. How many residential properties does your company have?
So Vermont Construction doesn't own any properties.
So you own several in Shelburne, Essex, Willis.
Me personally?
The company.
No, the company doesn't own any properties.
But the owners of the company own property.
The owners of the companies do, that's true.
Right, so the company is effectively.
So like how many companies do I, or how many properties do I own?
I'm asking how many residential properties Vermont Construction Company owns, and how many of those properties are used to house either subcontractors, people who are working.
Right, so that's really two separate issues. So for the first question, Vermont Construction does not own properties, it's a construction company.
Right, but
But
subsidiaries of the company.
in terms of the properties that I own, I'd say about half of them have what you would call migrant workers in them.
How many?
There's about a dozen.
About a dozen, okay. And so, after the town of Colchester issued these violations, did you move these workers to other residences in the county, these half dozen properties that are used for this purpose?
So none of the workers that lived in those properties currently live in any of my properties.
Okay.
Are they still employed by Vermont Construction Company?
It's really important. It's two separate businesses. You don't have to work for Vermont Construction to be a tenant in a property that I own, and vice versa. So it's not. There is some overlap, but there's no direct connection. It's not worker housing.
Can you talk about the nature of the employment? What subcontractors are you working with, if any, or are people directly employed?
So Vermont Construction properly employs almost 40 people who work in this building. Beyond that, it's subcontractors. You know, in total, we probably work with about 20 subcontractors, and between them, they probably have about 250 guys that end up on our projects.
Can you, what subcontractors do you know?
I mean, you're looking at some of them right now.
Let me just say that one of the key pieces, one of the reasons this program is innovative and powerful is that it's looking at a whole supply chain, right? It's not a labor rights program that would simply be able to manage employees of a company, but it's really saying that as a builder, you can have this kind of influence all the way down the supply chain on workers who don't directly work for you but are working on your project. So again, a key piece of the program is that the majority of the impact of this is on workers who do not directly work for VCC, but who work for subcontractors who work on VCC projects. Just a distinction, legal distinction to maintain.
This is really just as much of a commitment by our subs as it is by us, and them cooperating with us is essential, and they are all on board.
Do you guys know how many workers in Vermont could potentially be affected by this?
I mean, we can speak for ourselves. You know, we're saying about 250 peak season for Vermont Construction specifically.
Workers or migrant workers?
It's primarily migrant workers. And I mean, migrant's a loose term as well. You know, a lot of these people are future Vermonters or current Vermonters. You know, I feel like migrant, you say migrant, it sounds like they're gonna leave. Like, we need to treat these people like Vermonters.
Yeah, and just to address again that this kind of model and program benefits all workers, regardless. Sorry. Just to address again that this kind of model and program, same as Milk with Dignity, benefits and protects all workers, regardless of being migrants or domestic workers. The program addresses everyone. But somebody had a question.
What does this agreement do to ensure workers are safe?
It does a lot. That's actually one of the most important factors for us, is there's gonna be training for the subcontractors and the workers, and there's gonna be a little bit of mechanism for enforcement. Our subcontractors are gonna have to ensure safe working conditions for all of their workers.
Olivia Reed, this is not public. The way Milk with Dignity works, there's value for the farmers that participate in that program to participate. They essentially get paid. Is that a similar kind of arrangement here?
You know, again, the builder's agreement, in the same way that an agreement was signed, right, with Ben and Jerry's that establishes those patterns, that agreement has not been built yet here. So I couldn't speak to the specifics of what that'll look like in this case. I think the benefits to there are other benefits, I think, to subcontractors who participate in the program, both to their workforce, their ability to retain their overall kind of conditions of work, but those arrangements haven't been made. I don't know what that'll look like. We haven't figured that out yet for this context.
And is this the first time this is like an agreement has been made outside of Minnesota?
Yes. Yes, this is the first time, and again, I think what created the conditions really is the fact that there's an operating program here in Milk with Dignity. There's a worker organizing institution here with Migrant Justice. Those are essential pieces of the puzzle, right? One of the things when we talk about a worker-driven social responsibility program, it isn't just a new set of rules or standards. It's all about having a worker organization on the ground that's doing some of that direct kind of education and support work, and then paired with a monitor that is, again, independent, third party, a separate 501c3 that builds, credibility through the work. And we've seen that in Milk with Dignity. This really is simply kind of moving across industry, if you will.
How many undocumented migrants are working for Vermont Construction Company? What might the impact of the president's mass deportation policy have on the company or industry?
So Vermont Construction cannot hire undocumented workers. We follow the same rules as everybody else. Anybody that works for us has to be documented. There's a rigorous vetting process for our subcontractors. We expect them to follow all state and federal laws, and it's not legal to hire undocumented workers.
And from Migrant Justice, I can say that all members, we don't ask about immigration status unless it's something needed for risk or anything that needs support. Regardless of everything, as David said clearly, these are Vermont people that are living here in Vermont. They stay here. They are giving their work, their lives, their taxes, everything to Vermont. So really, the question of who is undocumented or not is something that we'll never bring up.
And the policy that Trump might enact on the country and the state, are you worried at all about people's livelihoods?
Well, the fear is real, and our community is still organizing, and we're putting that fear into action. So anything that might come from this new administration, we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it as human rights. And we don't know exactly what's going to pass and what's not. We know that there is insanity out there, and we know that we can organize well.
Thank you.
Marita, as far as Migrant Justice knows, how many more immigrant workers in construction in Vermont could be impacted by an agreement like this if more subcontractors or companies would sign on?
We don't have an exact number, but I think if more construction companies come together, we can definitely support and protect hundreds and hundreds of workers, if not thousands.
Bueno, pues queríamos agregar un poco porque este modelo, este programa WSR, pues yo fui una de las personas que fui a Minnesota hace un tiempo a llevar este programa de leche con dignidad y copiar este modelo en construcción en Minnesota.
And so there was a question before about this model of worker-driven social responsibility. And so I can speak a little bit about that because I was part of a delegation of Migrant Justice members and workers in Vermont who traveled to Minnesota many years ago to start meeting with construction workers there and help them adapt the principles of this model to the construction industry to create the Building Dignity and Respect program.
Sí, entonces nosotros mirábamos todo el compromiso que tenía la organización que tiene y también todos los problemas que hay en construcción. Entonces son similares los problemas que están ahora aquí también en construcción. Entonces es muy bueno que este programa está regresando de allá o más completo para nosotros también.
And so at that time, when we went there, we saw the problems that existed in the industry in the Twin Cities, and also the commitment of this workers' organization to address those problems and create a solution. And that's why we're really excited to see that solution now coming back here to address some of the issues that we're facing in Vermont.
Y vamos a seguir adaptando el modelo WSR aquí a construcción también.
And we'll be supporting that process of adapting the WSR model to the construction industry in Vermont.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm just wondering, there was a comment made about how immigrant labor is so important for everyone in Vermont, and I'm just wondering how you view your role as part of the Vermont economy and community.
Pues yo pienso que la comunidad de nosotros es muy importante porque como va creciendo también la industria de construcción aquí, hace varios años solamente trabajábamos en ranchos lecheros y ahora se está expandiendo a construcción, se está expandiendo los trabajadores también en hoteles, en restaurantes, tenemos compañeros aquí también, entonces creo que si en la mano de obra de los latinos, de la gente inmigrante, creo que no vamos a superarnos tampoco como Estado. Entonces creo que es muy importante la mano de obra también.
So I think our community is really important for the future of this state. A couple years ago, almost all of us were working on dairy farms, but you see that with a growing construction industry and also opportunities in other sectors like restaurants and cleaning, we're expanding and growing as a community. And so immigrants, Latinos, we are part of this state's workforce and part of Vermont's future.
Okay, if there are no more questions, we want to thank you for your time. Again, this is a day of celebration, a day of new partnerships and commitment. So a round of applause for BDC.
¿Se puede o no se puede? ¡Sí se puede! ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¡Sí se puede! ¿Se puede o no se puede? ¡Sí se puede! 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 ¡Sí se puede!
Muy buenas tardes con todos. Me llamo Rebeca Caranqui, soy de Ecuador. Primeramente, muchas gracias por abrirnos las puertas de Construcción Vermont, en lo cual nos sentimos muy felices como latinos, agradecidos porque nos han dado esta oportunidad, y para todos los latinos, en lo cual nos sentimos muy felices porque nos ha dado mucha oportunidad aquí en Construcción Vermont.
Bueno, de mi parte me siento muy agradecido que nos hayan tomado en cuenta a la comunidad migrante. Primeramente agradecerles su lindo programa que tienen ustedes y darnos esta gran oportunidad que ojalá que todo salga bien de hoy en adelante. Muy agradecido y muy contento de esa oportunidad que nos han dado hoy en día. Muchísimas gracias.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Agustín. Pues yo estoy muy contento por el programa. Ahora sí que el programa de construcción. Pues yo trabajaba en un rancho. Ahora estoy trabajando en la línea restaurantero, por decir. Pero estoy muy contento por los beneficios que se vienen para nosotros los migrantes que estamos aquí en Vermont. Y vamos a echarle ganas porque sí se puede. Gracias.
Gracias.
Soy Telma y lo que está pasando hoy es algo totalmente importante porque estamos usando el modelo WSR, que es muy importante para asegurar que las corporaciones grandes se aseguran de que los derechos de los trabajadores son respetados y si algo pasa pues hay consecuencias, lo cual a veces no solo queda en palabra en decir yo hago las cosas bien, sino que realmente hay una claridad y transparencia de que sí está pasando las cosas bien dentro de esta industria de construcción. Entonces es algo súper importante lo que está pasando y queremos seguir trabajando para que en un futuro pues más personas sepan qué es el modelo WSR y también, ¿verdad?, para que en un futuro pues esto no solo sea un acuerdo, sino un contrato en donde se van a seguir estos derechos y también donde se van a respetar a los trabajadores. I'm sorry, I'm so confused.
Hola, ¿y cómo te sientes que los trabajadores van a tener derechos?
¿Cómo te sientes?
Hola. Hello.
¿Quieres decir algo más? Hola, estoy contenta.
I'm happy. ¿Qué digo? Hola, hello. Renata Ribón Gómez.
Is ready? Hi, my name is Ronaldo, and I'm work for Vermont Construction, and I be fine with this company. They take care about me and my guys. So here is my friend Coca, and he continue.
Trabajo para Vermont Construction y estamos contentos con ello. So, no podemos decir nada de esta compañía, muy buena y vivimos súper bien. Muchas gracias.